Well, we haven't finished yet. Now is your opportunity to ask all those burning questions that you haven't been able to ask earlier on. And we did, in Surav's presentation and Hert's presentation, have quite a number of people who had questions that they wanted to ask, so we are going to cover them. But also, as part of your registration, we had a number of questions that we put in for the panel. So what we're going to do is start off with a couple of those questions. But before we get into that, we should really meet our panel, shouldn't we? It is tiring, isn't it? It is tiring. Come on. Yes. You get to go home after this.
Back to work, you mean?
Well, yes, I've got plenty on my phone. I'm positive you will as well. So, without further ado, let's introduce our panelists.
Oh, would you introduce ourselves?
Yes.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Hi guys, if you've seen my presentation, my name is Hayat Amit. My background is in finance. I've been a finance director with 10 plus years of experience working with very fast-paced, high-growth companies. Started off being a finance analyst for Arcadia, the retail giants. And then moved on to working for a lot of SMEs, and now I help have a portfolio of companies that I work with. Yeah, that's about it. So more about mixing operational and tech data and bringing data and finance to life really through business intelligence. That's what my background is.
Hi, I'm Verity. I am the National Head of Procurement for the Prince's Trust. Previous to this role, I've been a self-employed procurement consultant, mainly across the public sector. So I've done a lot of work liaising with various different finance people across the years and having to work out how their systems work with what I'm doing and all of those different things. So very, very success rates, hopefully successful in the Prince's Trust. I'm also an executive member of the charity sector procurement group as well. So I'm here representing and flying the procurement flag.
Thank you, Verity. My name is Surav, and I'm a finance professional, as probably quite a lot of you are. Okay, you know what? That's fine.
I've got one person on side.
My experience is predominantly in the manufacturing sector and very varied, from engines to diamonds and presently to sausages. So yeah,
Who doesn't want sausage?
So I'm happy to speak to all of you and answer questions that you may have. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll start off with one of the questions that were sent in previous to the conference starting. Which operating models do the panelists believe drive the best collaboration between procurement and finance? Surav.
Well, for me, I think the most important thing is whether we talk procurement or whether we talk finance. It's very important to understand that these are support services, and what they support is the business. So no matter which operating model we actually look into, because depending on the industry, depending on the entity, depending on how big or small it is, the operating models may be different, but the objective is the same. And as long as finance doesn't only think about finance, which very often they do, they kind of forget that they're there to support the business, or the other way around. And as long as we understand the objective and the end goal, and look at the process more of an end-to-end, then it will work on any operating model.
Okay. Can we have a procurement perspective on this?
No, yeah. Yes, of course. I don't disagree. I think that it does obviously relate to the business model that you're operating under. Coming from a charity sector background at the moment, obviously some of the aims are different from a business point of view, but I still think looking at it from an end-to-end process and looking at it in line and in conjunction with your business strategies is probably the most important thing to do, and making sure that all lines of communication are always open and being a conduit for that within the business as well. So I think as long as you're operating in a really open and honest way, then you can all support each other.
I think no matter what your operations model is, key for me has always been communication. I think if people were in my presentation, they would have seen a kind of like a dashboard that brings companies together. It also brings departments together. Very, very important to have some sort of me being working in a remote culture. We don't get to do meetings, we don't get to sit down with the procurement team. But at all times, they know exactly what the finance is, how the company is performing, and what we need and what we don't need through this unit, something that brings people together. Now that could be after work drinks or it could be the dashboard. But I think communication and kind of working together is pretty important.
Okay.
Thanks.
So you covered an interesting point there, Verity, around procurement. I guess the question here is, how can we identify and then track value throughout procurement? And when is value, always a traditional type value? And how do you measure it, especially in that sort of non-for-profit sector? We'll start there, but then we'll open up to a more commercial perspective.
I love it when I get 3 questions in one. Thanks for that.
Don't worry, I'll take you through
No,
it.
I've got it written down. So classic value when we're talking about procurement, that classic cashable saving is normally that unit cost. So this pad costs 50p at the moment. I want you in my procurement team to go out and find me a deal where I can get this pad for 25p. So that's your classic value. That's a really easy one for finance to grasp as well when they're looking at savings. Okay, yeah, that unit cost has come down, that's a cashable saving. Nice one, 10 points Verity, thank you very much. Then you start to look at the whole life cycle of the procurement, and that's when you start to look at more complicated things like the total cost of ownership, and then the way in which that ownership starts the journey, and it goes through the journey, and how you then exit that at the end. So, and all of the various different costs and savings that you've got in there, including things like staff time, including things like potentially the reduction of fixed assets, and other things like that. Now, identifying those can be more difficult, and it can be more time consuming, but from a procurement point of view, it's still a saving. It might not be as cash releasing as some finance teams may see it, and I have these debates all the time, but it can at least be recorded somewhere as potentially cost avoidance. I mean, if you're able to get rid of some staff time, though, and you're able to streamline people's jobs, if you're looking at something like robotic process automation, there's a really clear case for stuff like that in some of the more complicated and convoluted tasks, where you are making a very clear reduction in staff time, and you've got an efficiency there, which isn't classic cashable value, but it's something very different. So I think it's important to identify all of the various different value areas when you are embarking on any procurement project or change program or anything like that, because it is more than just that cashable value of this cost 50p.
Okay. Surav, do you agree with that?
Yes.
He had to say that.
Having said that, I think the end-to-end cycle is so very fundamental. I can give you some examples, especially in the manufacturing sector. We always go out on where can we source this cheaper, right? But the question actually doesn't end there. The question is, with that product or with that input raw material, will your finished product be exactly the same, or will it differ? Will it last exactly the same, or will it differ? What would be the implications on the end customer who's using now that product? Now, of course, there is product qualifications and all of that you go through, but you know what? Sometimes you don't know until you actually use that after the sourcing chain, use that end product for a finite amount of time. You don't know what sort of warranty claims you'll get, right? So it's very, very, very important that when we take these sourcing decisions, to kind of look at not just a point in time, but a period of time. And that period of time, depending on what product and which industry you are, can vary from weeks, months, to even years.
I've actually got a really good example, if that's okay, about
examples are perfect.
Oh, wonderful. So I've spent a lot of time working with the NHS, and I've seen firsthand the difficulty that concentrating on price only has had, particularly in the healthcare sector. where they decided to move from one type of examination gloves to another type of examination gloves. They were half the price, but what they found is that as they were putting the gloves on, the end of the gloves was peeling off and they were breaking, so they were having to use twice the amount of gloves. So in actual fact, there was no saving whatsoever.
But I think the other thing that Surav drew out was your procurement choices affect what your marketing is and the value proposition that you put on your end products or the end services that you do. Is that measurable? I think that's a question maybe to Hyatt about how you go about measuring some of these things.
I can run guys through an example, probably something that I've done for a couple of years back. The way I kind of get value of a certain decision made by the procurement team is in two sets. First is the initial saving. It's easy, it's a basic thing. You get an average of all the offers on the table, you deduct it with the offer that we've taken. You get some sort of value from there, savings from there. Then what you can do is, you can actually track expenses. I'm not sure how many of you guys do that. You can track expenses through tagging categories in accountancy software. So any expenses that happened after the initial contract can be accumulated into one pot. And what you can then do is, after the contract's finished, you can add the additional expenses with the expense that's been saved. So that's one thing. How you value it is I look at Trello, an operational software that you can track efficiency. If we're getting things done quicker due to this procurement decision. You look at time, cost savings, employee time savings. You know their salary, you can divide their time and see if they're taking less time to do that because of the procurement decision that was made. And that way you can find out the value, because you know the initial saving, you know through cost categorization and accumulation, you know the total saving, and then you also know if we're saving time because of this through other softwares that are out there. So I think a combination of this two, and I completely agree that it's never should be the initial save, there should be a life cycle to it, and also agree that some life cycle do not end. But you should, as a CFO, you can make a mark on it. You should say, okay, 3 years. Let's give it 3 years. Let's see if why we have purchased this or accepted this contract has it actually affected efficiency, performance, cost savings. These can be tracked and then mixed with cost saving.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions from the floor? Oh, there you go. There is my phone just coming.
Hi there. It's more a question for Hyatt. So you saw your presentation, which was very insightful.
Thanks.
I'm coming from the procurement side. So to hear kind of that language from the CFO is kind of breathtaking, because it's very much a case of how much have you saved. So what would your advice to a procurement professional be in terms of motivating my CFO to say, right, explore these different areas? Because what you've described sounds like a lot of work to enable and a lot of tools, and there might be simpler ways to kind of start the journey, but have you got any kind of advice or tips in terms of starting that conversation?
Interesting. Us CFOs we initially have a very big ego, and that's because we come with numbers, and whenever you have numbers to back what you say, you usually want to be the right person in the room. But I think, again, I can only speak for myself. Whenever I work with the entire team, and again, it could be that I also look at the operations of the companies that I work for, but I open the question. Philip Green had a really interesting point in terms of like listening to everyone first and then be the last one to answer. So if your CFO is that kind of a person, it should be easy. If not, send them to one of these events. That could be a really good way, where you don't have to do any of the work. But I would definitely just bring it up, just talk about it. We as CFOs always look for value, right? We look for cost savings, yes, but that's old school. We look for value. And if you can present that value to your CFO, no one will say, do you know what? No, because I want to be right. So I think kind of doing some research and find out you can actually save some money as well as add value that way and present it, I think that should be the starting point.
Verity?
I think if you were here for Lisa's presentation just before this, I think also communication style is really important as well. So I'm very much a yellow. I am super overexcitable. Although I can do kind of the numbers thing, I am a yellow. I've worked with a lot of CFOs that are very blue, and I've had to really adjust my communication style to get them on board with a lot of the stuff. So I think understanding their motivations and understanding their communication style can really help as well.
Surab, any comment?
I think we're all sellers, by the way, right? We're all selling something or the other. So, to your point, I think you need to get some selling skills to the CFO as well.
Can I just add one more thing? Look, the way I see it is the way I run a business or kind of try to embed this sort of culture is each department owners run their own business. So I look at it as a business unit. If there's a department, be it sales, procurement, you have a budget and your main objective is to add value to the company and the vision of the company. If you can create that value within a business case or however you think it's the right way, communication, emails, few spreadsheets, this is the best way to talk to a CFO, spreadsheets. I highly advise you to do that too.
I might add one thing to that, and that is you need to be a really good networker across the business, because for a CFO, it's about providing quantitative information, no matter how you get it. So products and services, it's not the fact that the product and service has been delivered, it's, did we have to do a product recall? What's the rework that has to be done because there's been a failure? Why is there a concern with the CEO about productivity? Because all of those things could lead to something that the procurement is doing that's causing a material effect. And that isn't in one area. It's about talking to HR, it's about talking to the IT, it's about talking to procurement, it's talking across the business and building up that life cycle, product life cycle, services life cycle, whatever you're doing within your business, and understanding how it works together. And the only way to achieve that is to have a good internal network. There was another question there.
Hi, I'm from Procurement, and it's really a question.
That's 4 of you.
We can always tell procurement people, they're always charging things people say. It's about the definition and discussion of a value. I mean, I noticed that you were distinguishing between product price and product cost, but your explanation and evaluation of value was very retrospective, so it was over the life cycle. How can you define the value at the point of making the procurement decision? So you've got all your prices on the table, you've got your profile of your suppliers, you think you're locking into existing business practice. How do you know selecting that product from that supplier at that price is going to deliver you the value?
You need to have a really good specification, and you need to understand what's being supplied entirely at the moment and what that touches on across the organisation and where all any pinch points are and where any points of wastage might be and all of the people that are involved in that. So literally any point where any value could be wasted, you can then look at that within the specification of your new service/goods and then drive that forward. The difficulty with value is, although you can make a forecast, like you might make any other budgetary forecast about what that would look like, the demand might go up or down. So you're never 100% sure. So you can make some sort of forecast what that looks like by looking at all of those various different pinch points and designing a specification that meets any problems. But you can never truly tell a true value until right at the end when you actually retrospectively look back and see whether your forecast was correct or not. Does that answer the question? No.
Sorry.
Surab.
So it's very challenging, right? I can give you examples from a product-based or service-based organization. Typically, and if you're trying to sell this, let's say, to the finance organization, the first thing that finance is always risk averse, right? So whenever we are talking about, let's say, changing something because it's cheaper, the very first thing that will come to the mind, or that procurement should bring about, is what is the risk to the business? So it's all about de-risking. So let's say if I go from one supplier to another supplier, and that reduces my cost by, I don't know, maybe 10-20%, the underlying thing that we need to think really hard, and not in silo, but that's where, to John's point, you've got to speak to the product guy, you've got to speak to the R&D guy, that based on change of this specific product, what is the risk to the end product? Is there a risk? So for instance, if you're changing packaging, for instance, there is very, very little risk. But if you're changing something more fundamental to the actual product, then the risk goes up. So obviously there, the value or the upfront value that you get should be good enough to de-risk any warranty or any such kind of claims that may come later on. So that's how I would kind of, it's to do with Excel modeling to some extent, right? So I wouldn't disagree to yourself in terms of how to present that information, but it's all about de-risking.
Can I just add something? I mean, that's very good. Sorry.
That's very good, and I agree with you. One of the ways I'm from procurement, by the way. We all are, I think, here. One of the ways I've de-risked situations really is by introducing the new supplier in and not giving them all the business, just to win the confidence of the business and make sure that the supply network fundamentally works. Then getting, as you said earlier, getting the senior stakeholders on board. Once that's happened and I've proved and provided the evidence, I've then scaled over. And that's helped with the transition, but also an intellectual property and also managing the contract. So that's one way I've done it.
Great observation.
Yeah.
I think I also want to build on what Surab was talking about, because the way I interpret it was very much about you're looking at the efficiency side, but actually some of the people I've spoken to here today and my own experiences is sometimes your growth markets aren't about producing more, they're about producing smaller, shorter runs of more specialised. And coming back to your value point, it's understanding when you're marketing pricing specialists, what is that value? And sometimes you have to go and buy different components from different suppliers to prove that market, to prove that there is a marketplace, so that you reduce your traditional cash cow as you migrate towards run specialised componentry. And that works not only in products, but in moving your business from solution selling to more consultative selling from a services perspective as well. And I think that's the real challenge for procurement and recruitment type individuals, is to understand how that business is going and where they think the new marketplace is going to be. So I just wanted to add in a little bit of my insight. I'm going to go back to some of the questions here, because otherwise we won't get through all of these. But we don't need to get through all of these either.
Sorry, John, can I just add one more thing?
Yeah. Sure, of course.
So on the procurement side, I mean, the best example from history is the Titanic. The Titanic sank because probably someone worked cheap with it. So that's kind of the ultimate risk assessment.
Thank you. All right. When customers ask a procurement and finance person, would each provide the same consistent answer based on the data, or different? And why does that matter? Surab.
Interesting question. I'd like to say yes, they should, and with the right systems, they will give the right answer. Now, I think the context is very important, and in finance, of course, there's a lot of things that they deal with, not just the spend. They're also wearing the regulatory, the compliance hat on in terms of financial reporting. So sometimes when you ask the question, the context is very important. But with the right systems, yes, it should give the same answer. But I think that is a big thing. And someone said to me, in today's world, it's not what you do, but it's how you do it that makes all the difference, right? And by how you do it, it's the underlying business processes, the underlying business systems, and how robust they are, how communicative they are, to one another, and how integrated, how much they're talking to each other. So that's really of key essence.
Verity, anything to add to that?
Not really, I was just going to agree. I think, if you've got the right systems in place that are truly giving you an end-to-end sourcing to, source to pay, and you can see all of that, and everything's clear and everything's categorized correctly, and everyone's going through the right processes, then yes, you should be able to give the same answer. Unfortunately, that's not often the case, and that's probably where the different answers come up.
So that leads us straight into the fourth question, which is, in your view, what's the gold standard for measuring and reporting procurement and the savings and the impact of savings within an organisation?
I think this is I think I've answered this question already, with the two-step process that you can do in terms of initially recognising savings at the start, and there's different ways of doing it. I think I've gone through the my way that I've done in the past. But I guess what's important is to have it set up, to have some sort of a process in place. That what the tricky bit is obviously what happens after, right? The value, how does it actually impact the entire company? And that is when we need to have some software. I think I've been speaking about software all day today, being in the finance sector. But I think it's important because you can actually track everything. And if you can track everything in a seamless and streamlined way, you can track the impact. Retrospectively, very easy. Forward-looking, difficult. But that's what CFOs do. We do predict and forecast, and we predict our forecast based on retrospective viewpoint. We see what's happened in the past, and then we kind of presume that that's going to happen again. So in terms of impact, I definitely think get a hold of some softwares that are out there to actually see, okay, do we make this product quicker? Do we make this product faster? Are employees happy? There's actually the software, not software, like a platform we used in our previous company. Every day at 5 o'clock on a Friday, we had the entire screen froze on our laptops, and we had to answer a question: how motivated are you today? And we couldn't get out of it. We had to rate from 1 to 5. That's how you actually measure employee motivation and satisfaction. So in a way, everything can be measured. It's finding out what tools to use to measure them, and how you kind of come to that impact of procurement. And I think they go hand in hand. And yeah, that's my answer. I think going back to what I said previously.
Okay. Any additions?
I was just going to quickly say, obviously I don't come from a manufacturing background, I come from a charitable public sector, so what we're producing is quite different to that kind of thing. But procurement, the kind of question goes on to us about the impact of the procurement function, and we always measure that, and I've always measured that on return on investment. If you're spending X amount of money on procurement, you expect savings to come in at least 4 to 5-fold what you're spending on the procurement function. If that's not what's happening, then you want to have a look at what's going on behind the scenes. So just to kind of answer the end of that question.
Nothing to add.
So, any tips on reporting on cost savings? Any things that you'd say, here's the 101 that we should be doing, and perhaps here's the stretch points?
I give you examples of what we use. We use the grand model Excel, right? Something very simple, something very intuitive, something that kind of works in our manufacturing environment. But the important part is, it's got to be something which is consistent and year on year, which the people trust, because that trust factor is so very important, right? If you give a tool to the people that they do not feel good about, then no matter how good the tool is, it's just not telling you the right answer. So that would be my kind of message. Keep it simple, keep it intuitive, and keep it something that the people will trust.
I think let's just add one thing. Any CFOs in the room, benchmark. Benchmark every month, if possible, every quarter, to see how efficient, what's the operating expenses, what are the department KPIs telling us, how efficient is our sales team, procurement team, benchmark. And that's the only way you see a difference from A to Z. In terms of cost savings, again, back kind of to the CFOs again, a lot of accounting softwares have this tagging system. I've talked about it. It's a very, very important way you can actually draw down in the right cost. Every time you're reconciling a bank line, for example, you can tag product procurement A, procurement B. You exactly know what it is. And then you can, whoever's reconciling this, a bookkeeper or in-house person who's doing it for you, they just accumulate product procurement A. So at the end of the year, you see, okay, we spend this much money. Year 2, we spend this much money. You get the cost of ownership. It might go up, it might be stabilized, but you know that. And through benchmarking, you can compare it with if you've increased efficiency, if you've decreased efficiency. I think that to me, categorization is very, very important.
I'll ask you, the wise people out there, have you got a gold standard that you use for your procurement to help you understand what the savings are around procurement changes? No?
Silver standard?
I know, we've got a kind of grey standard.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. We're now getting on to our favourite question.
Oh.
So, as the questions came in, and we've reviewed them earlier on, we had one which we couldn't answer, as in the context around it was such that we just, that there's too many permutations in that. So we're hoping that the person who asked this question and raised this question is actually in the audience and will share with us a little bit more around that. So the question is, having one version of the truth, whether spend budgets, is this still a myth? Having one version of the truth, whether spend, budgets, is this still a myth? Anyone admitting to raising that question? Because we had I think half our time spent on a number of different discussions around that, from where are you in the organisation, what type of, is it finance people who are asking this, is it procurement, what type of organisational model have you got, is it a transactional one, are you already thinking about strategic? It opened up quite a number of different avenues, and we were hoping that perhaps somebody would be brave enough to say, yeah, that's my question, and here's the context. No? Okay. I think we've got away with it, folks. Okay. And then the last one, I think, is looking to the future. What do you think is the ideal role for procurement in finance? And what do you think is the right role for finance in procurement? Okay. And we'll start with Suraj.
I think, as I said in my starting point, that we're all part of the business, right? And all that we're trying to do is make sure that the business can function as effortlessly, as seamlessly as possible. And be it finance, or be it procurement, or be it any other service, is able to provide that service without causing any pain. I mean, the first thing is, customer delight is of course important, but first is, don't be a hurdle for the business who's actually trying to add value, get some money, make a sale, right? So that objective and reinforcing that objective every time we think of either procurement or finance or any support services is very vital. It is a customer experience.
We had a bit of a chat about this earlier.
I know.
So I
No
think,
holds barred. Go for it.
I think for a really long time procurement has been sat underneath the FD and the CFO, and it hasn't been given its own light at the table, its own space. I think there are plenty of, no offence to the people in the room, senior finance people that don't necessarily understand what strategic procurement is and its role in the organisation. And I think although the two are inextricably linked and should work together, they should be seen as separate functions. Procurement should not be part of the finance function. It should be a separate function that works alongside it and be given the same seniority. Not that I'm bitter. Thank you, other procurement people.
Well, I'm not sure what to say about that. But look, I mean, personally, I'm surprised to see there's friction. I've never had it. And the reason why I've never had it is probably because I do think procurement department is so vital, right? It's not just about cost savings, right? It's not just about that. I think procurement department also has a big role in the impact in the future in the company, the value adds that comes from sourcing the right deal.
And the risk management.
And the risk management also in terms of your own goodwill. I think there's a lot that relies on the procurement team. One wrong mistake, I think you used the term plastic packaging. I personally know that I worked for a company where the procurement department came to us and said we should stop using plastic.
I only said packaging.
Sorry. So I think there's so much value out there, and I think as long as we work together and communicate with one another, I definitely see no friction there. All I see is just look more beyond saving costs, and everyone's going to be on the same side.
Yeah.
That's it.
This is your opportunity. Last chance to ask a question of our panel.
May I ask?
Of course.
Sure. So Verity, it's partly a follow-up of what you just said. So I'm a procurement person, and you talked about where procurement isn't necessarily
I'm in trouble
understood.
now.
What would be your top tips in an organisation where procurement isn't really understood to persuade people that they want you at the table, involved, early, engaged?
Yeah, no,
How do you do that?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? I've been lucky enough to be in organisations where procurement is quite highly regarded, and also unlucky enough to be in organisations where it hasn't been. It feels like a constant battle. So I do feel your pain. I think what we were talking about communication styles and presenting the facts and presenting the figures and presenting things in a way so that your finance team can understand is important. But I think it's also important that if you are almost being sheltered under that bushel of finance and you kind of have to break yourself out of that a little bit, and although it's not always nice to go over people's heads, sometimes you have to do that to get yourself heard.
Okay. Thank you. So I'd like to thank the panel for all their input and subject matter expertise.